Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, Stephen
Whatever the
Ronin.
fuck this is called.
Yeah, Stephen Ronin talk nerd shit. Who knows if we'll ever do one of these again? I mean, we'll probably do one in at least another 4 years, assuming the channel's still fucking going. I am Steve. Joining me is my only other friend that has even a passing interest in Final Fantasy, Mr. Ronin.
Yes, it is I, Steve. Steve, did you know the original Final Fantasy VII has some weird shit in it?
I did. I was, in fact, aware that there was some weird shit in the original Final Fantasy VII. And you know what the people that made this game did? They took that shit, they shit on it, and then they cranked it up to fucking 37.
I was gonna say the fact that I was gonna lead into the fact that this game has a lot of weird shit in it, delightfully weird shit. I'm glad they did not skimp out on the insanity. Like the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 of this, it left weird stuff in it. Like when I say weird stuff, I mean like gameplay wise, or just like weird things in the world itself, not the Destiny ghost. I'm not going all in. Fuck you. But no, like this, but it didn't have a lot of like the true madness, like like the demon house and shit like that. Like that was in there, but it was kind of left to, like not nearly as much. This game goes full. Oh yeah, all that weird shit's in this game. There's so much strange shit in this fucking game.
There are parts of this game that I fucking hate, and other parts that I love because it is very clearly like a love letter. Parts of this game are a love letter to the original game with all of the weird, crazy shit that they recreated in this new world. I think you said that. I don't even think when I introduced this that I even said we were talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but that's what we're fucking talking about. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Only 3 months late. I did the proper thing and took a week off of work to play this game. Ronin, meanwhile, took like 2.5 months. So, like, what do you have to say for yourself?
It was a challenge. The game came out just when the business was starting to pick up, and free time was starting to become much less available. So
see, that's why you do what I do, and in advance you request a week off work.
If I had requested like a solid, give me like 5 or whatever days off, like that, like I don't have like a huge ton of like off days to request. If I had done that, then there's a very chance that like the Nebraska apocalypse might not have happened.
You'd have been fine. Anyways, we are here to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. At the last episode air quotes if you even call it that, we talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1. Our thoughts on it. I think we were mostly positive on it. They definitely made some changes that we weren't a fan of. Looking at you, plot ghosts. And then right at the end, Zack is coming back. And so, what's the significance of that? Are we dealing with a multiverse now? Did time fuckery happen? Like, what is going on in this game? We didn't know, but I think we were cautiously optimistic. Like, I'm not all in, speaking of all in, I'm not all in on the changes you're making, but I'm willing to give you a chance.
They did enough to like. I was concerned enough because anything involving the Kingdom Hearts guy is going to have me concerned that at some point the answer. Oh well, like now I know that that the holy spell is light opens up a door. Soft J-pop's gonna start speaking. Sephiroth's gonna be blinded by light. When you walk away. If that happens in the third game, I think I might have to start flipping all the tables. All of them. But
yeah.
I was petrified that was shit that was going to happen in this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but it doesn't skimp out on the weird anime bullshit that eventually made me stop watching anime because all anime does anime bullshit. I can't fucking stand it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and this game does that. Like if you like, it's been a minute since we. I actually you finished it first, but I started it first, and like a day or so before you were able to boot it up. Do you remember what I started sending you when I started loading up the game?
Yeah,
It
you
was just this.
immediately sent me like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh no." Oh no! And then the next day, I started the game, and I'm not even going to say right now how this game starts. So we'll save that tidbit for later when we start talking about the changes that were made to this game's story. But sure enough, Ronin, when the game came out, sent me an immediate "what the fuck" like as soon as he hit the power button on his goddamn PS5.
Several what the fucks.
And then the next day, I turned the game on and I reciprocated Ronin's "what the fuck" because that was my thought as well. But again, we're gonna save the "what the fuckness" for when we start talking about the changes made to the game. So let's do like a. I am going to assume that if you are listening to this, you have played the original game, and if you didn't, then none of this is going to make any sense because this is a fair up until it's not. This is a fairly faithful recreation of the original game story. You know, the type of game has changed. It's an open world game now. There's
I would say open section. Yeah,
yeah,
like,
open section.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a
not true
segmented open world.
Yeah, like different areas are open and expansive, but they're not. But they're not fully interlinked together. Although the area that I think has like Gold Saucer, and like God, I forget it. It has Gold Saucer. You also have like the such and such beat. That is one. That's probably the game's single biggest area because like 2 or 3 different sections connect with like next to no loading, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it's an open world game, open world ish, and so there's some. We'll do it this way. The game follows the original story pretty closely. Like you start out in Calm, and Cloud gives his flashback about the night Sephiroth went fucking nuts 5 years ago. You immediately get the awkwardness between Tifa and Cloud because Tifa's like, yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't remember any of that shit happening.
I appreciate the fact that because this is a very clear. It's okay if you played the original game, you know that we're like, we're winking and we're nodding at you. If you're gonna like member berry me, this is an acceptable member berry. Because it's if you've never played the original Final Fantasy and you somehow have no idea what happens in that original story, first of all, props to you. Second of all, what the fuck are you listening to this for? It's gonna spoil it. Third of all, it's like we know, like okay, we know that like Cloud is like the improper, like the unreliable narrator in this situation. And like Tifa clearly knows it too, but she's also like, I don't want to tell him that he's wrong. But yeah, we can catch up on that pretty quick. So okay, good work on the developers for that, for acknowledging that like, okay, yeah, we're keeping that part in. Like that. This was after the what the fuck is it? This I was calling down
yes.
at this point. Like,
this is not nice. The what the fuck. So yeah. So this is post what the fuck. We immediately start with the Nibelheim flashback and Sephiroth going crazy, and it's very very obvious that Tifa's like, that's not what happened, but she is not willing to say anything to Cloud at this point. They progress and they decide, like Sephiroth is up to some fuck. We gotta go get him. And so they start making their way across the world. They stop at the Chocobo Ranch. There's an entire open world. There's 6 open world sections. One of them is dedicated to Calm and the Chocobo Ranch and the surrounding area. They go to the ranch, they cross the marsh, I think they next go to the Junon region, and this is where Yuffie shows up. Yuffie has a much more prominent role in this game because she's no longer an optional character. She's forced into the story, and so it
also looks like they're changing the relationship between, because the Wu-Tai War was in the background of the original game. And in this game's like, oh no, they're like, this is like, like we're making the Wu-Tai the front and center. This is main.
Yeah.
This is main This is a main side quest. This is like side quest B
Yeah,
or sub story B.
this is also something that I assume happened because they decided to turn this into a trilogy. Like, so that they've got to pad it somehow, and so they're one of the changes they made is they are increasing the significance of Wu Tai, and therefore Rufus Shinra. They're increasing his significance as well. So going forward, presumably in remake 3, whatever the fuck stupid name they give it, the war with Wu Tai is going to be a very big deal. And I'm gonna get
Yeah,
out of this hand so I can talk.
if you're gonna do remake stuff like this is the appropriate thing to do. It's like, okay, you keep the main story by and large intact, and then you find little side things that weren't really touched upon that much, but they were there, and you kind of expand upon them. So, like, okay, we're going to expand on the Wu Tai, like, the Midgar Shinra relationships. Like, okay, I'm with this.
I
This
have
is fine.
regrets. I have regrets about that hand that I threw away. But yeah, so Wu Tai has much more of a focus, therefore Yuffie has much more of a focus, therefore Rufus has much more of a focus because Wu Tai's enemy is Shinra. But you go through the whole scenario where you infiltrate the Shinra army to pretend you're just trying to get across the ocean to the other continent to continue to hunt down Hojo and Sephiroth. So you go through that whole song and dance. Cloud tricks a bunch of Shinra soldiers into murdering their friends, which was a weird choice, but it happened. But anyway, you go to Costa del Sol. It and Gongaga. I don't know. I don't know if Gungaga's there, but Costa del Sol has its own little area. Gungaga's present. You go to the destroyed Gungaga reactor. One of the changes they make there is that's where the weapons first show up. There's another massive change that happens at Gungaga, but I wanna hold off on that for now. Again, mostly following the story, the same OG story. You go to Gold Saucer. Barrett gets framed for murder by Dine. You get sent to the prison. You chocobo race your way out of prison, which is a thing that you can do in this world. You fight Dine.
As you do.
You go to Cosmo Canyon. You learn the how the planet was created, the history of the planet. You learn all about the life stream, and then you kind of wrap things up by going back to Gold Saucer to have a date with your love interest. And there are, just like the original game, you can kind of romance whoever you want. It's not overt, but there are multiple side quests scattered all over the map, and every side quest has like a party member that is like the star of that side quest. And so, if you want your Gold Saucer date to be with Aerith, you prioritize the Aerith side quest. If you want it to be with Barrett, you prioritize the Barrett side quest. And I think you can get like a date with anyone except Vincent.
I'm not sure about Vincent yet, because I have not watched these, but I need to. There are several 45-ish minute compilation videos on YouTube of you getting the date finger quote with all of the characters. I know Sid. I have seen some of the clips of Sid. You 100% can get one with Sid,
which is
Vince,
weird.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Because Sid's not even a playable character in this game. He's just hanging out with your team.
I think the way you have to do that is just straight up ignore all of the optional side stuff, and even because this game also introduces I guess you can say a relationship kind of thing with other characters, because there are certain moments where you're going to go around into the area, talk to people, and you're going to get multiple questions, and depending on the answer you get, your relationship strengthens or stays the same or actually gets worse with certain characters. So I imagine if you do all of those or don't do them at all and keep everyone strictly neutral, then I think it's just kind of a random dice roll as to whether or not Sid or possibly not confirmed Vincent could be your Gold Saucer date.
Yeah,
I know Sid is.
And the good thing is, you can watch a YouTube video, or as I understand it, when you go back to a New Game Plus, you now have the option to just pick who you want to go to the date with. You don't have to try to manipulate it. You just get the option. But you have your date, and then of course you go to Nibelheim. You do Shinra Manor, and Then it's time for the Temple of the Ancients, and that's where I don't know that I'm on board with this game anymore. But that's so anyway. So just pretty much from Calm to the point where you go to the Temple of the Ancients, it's a fairly faithful recreation of the original story. But
It's
now
mostly, yeah, it's mostly is, and then there's like it when they and except for like a couple of keystone moments where it's like, okay, the fuckery switch gets hit, and then
yes,
suddenly there's a like the game gets interjected with 10% more fuckery, and then they flip the switch off, and you go back to normal.
yes,
So,
that's a good way to put it. So keep that in mind. From Calm to Temple of the Ancients, it's probably like 90% the same story, just fleshed out because they took essentially one disc of a 3 disc game and stretched it into a full like 70-80 hour campaign if you do everything. So they added more to it. But let's talk about the 10% where, as Ronin put it, they flipped the fuckery switch. So Ronin, think back to day one of you playing this game. What was the first what the fuck moment in this game?
the game opens up, and you see it's fucking I'm already losing it. It's I just forget. It's Zach. The game started meaning to go into this hand. Fuck. It's Zach, and you're playing as Zach going into Niflheim. No, going into Midgar, and then you see like helicopters with like Red 13 and Barrett and people like that on it, and like you're like what the fuck? And there's like video of like they're showing videos of the weird ass plot ghost tornado, which I thought was like a metaphorical thing. I didn't realize it was an actual like a plot ghost
Yeah, same.
tornado that that was like left literal damage. I thought that like the plot ghosts were only visible to people whom they were affecting the plot of, even though with hindsight, thinking back on it, I don't think that was even true in the original game, because there is a section where the plot ghosts attack like a seventh heaven, or
Yeah.
like, not literally the bar, but around there, and it's clear that other people know something is going on.
I also don't know that they are necessarily consistent. But yeah, I definitely would not have expected there to be a giant black tornado that everyone could see and that could be captured on film based on what I got from the first game.
That did literal real world damage. I thought that was just all kind of like metaphorical, figurative. Okay, the ghosts come in and like they start like shifting and breaking dimensional time warps. It's like a weird Doctor Strange things where you go into the mirror realm and you see the real world, and the real world is shattered and broken, but it's not actually the real world. That was my assumption as to what was going on, but apparently that's not what was going on. It was like a real doomsday plot ghost tornado.
Yeah, and so I remember. So Zach, the game starts with Zach, and you specifically, it's like Zach is carrying the comatose cloud, because I think this is a different timeline. Spoilers: there's a goddamn multiverse now, but I think this is in like another timeline / universe, and this is a universe where Zach survived, and I guess because Zach survived, Cloud never woke up because reasons. So Zach is just carrying around, like he's dragging around Cloud's comatose body, and it seems that Zach has shown up like right around the end of the last game, but in this world, apparently shit went sideways, and the heroes lost, because everyone is either dead, dying, or in a coma, except for Cloud, which is strange.
Because like I can't even say for sure that like okay, Barrett and Red and them are. We see their bodies in a helicopter, but like in the helicopter crash, and it never actually is like okay, are they dead? I genuinely don't know. They probably are, but there is no like oh well, like the bodies of like the dead bodies of the terrorist group. There's nothing stated about that. So it's like yeah, are they dead? I don't know. It doesn't matter in the long run. Nope.
No, not at all.
As fuck doesn't.
Here's another thing that doesn't seem to matter in the long run. So Zack like just kind of hands Cloud off to someone else, like, "Hey, watch my friend. He's sick. I'll be back for him." And he goes off because he wants to save Aerith because he sees Aerith on camera, and so he goes to grab Aerith, and Aerith is in a coma, and the news crew mentions that there is a soldier with a Buster Sword that's fighting Shinra people, and so I'm thinking like, wait, like the Cloud in this universe is with Zack. Like he's comatose. Zack is carrying them around. So it's like, are there two Clouds in this world, or is there in this universe? Is there a third Shinra soldier that turned against Shinra and also has a Buster Sword? So I'm thinking like that's going to be one of the mysteries that we have to explore during this game is like, who is the Cloud, air quotes, of this Zack universe? It never comes up again. Like, no one even asked the question of how there is a Cloud-esque character fighting Shinra when Zack is also carrying around comatose Cloud.
Well, like I hadn't caught onto that aspect. Okay, yeah, because there is definitely like a second because I think what happens in this is that when in the Prime timeline, the Beagle timeline, in the Prime verse, when you kill the plot ghost Alpha or whatever that thing was at the end of the last game, and you shatter and you break the chains of fate, even though apparently you don't, because the plot ghosts are still very much relevant in Rebirth. And not only are they relevant, but there's two different breed of plot ghosts. Oh
yeah, well, let's save that. We're not there yet.
Yeah, no. Just prepping people for that. But so when you did that, it created kind of like random little splinters throughout and created all these separate timelines. And somehow Zack got pulled out from the moment after the Nibelheim incident and kind of placed right into this moment in one of these timelines. So because Cloud has to exist in the Cloud in the with the Buster Sword, it has to exist in Zack's timeline, because all of these people like Biggs, I think it is Biggs, or is it Wedge?
It's Biggs. Biggs, who died in the original game, is also alive in this weird Zack alternate timeline, and Biggs knows Cloud and talks about Cloud and says, "Oh yeah, Cloud."
So there has to have been.
So there are two Clouds in this timeline.
Yeah. What happened to the original Cloud? I don't know, because again, we don't know if cause, you were saying, oh well, they all just died in the helicopter. You do see the helicopters, and you see Red 13, I think Barrett, in one of those helicopters, and there's a camera scene where you see them loading Tifa up into a helicopter. But as to whether or not they actually survived the crash, I don't know. I'm gonna assume they didn't, but who knows? Because again, ultimately, does the question of them surviving or not matter?
No, it's a fucking multiverse. Everyone is expendable. None of this matters, which is going to be my main complaint with the game at the end. But my point was, there's clearly two Clouds, and no one ever brings up the fact that there were somehow two Clouds. It's like the game just forgot that they set up that scenario here. But anyway, so that's the first big thing they changed. Zack is alive and he's doing shit, but he's specifically doing it in another universe. And so just sprinkled throughout the rest of the game, you will occasionally go back to the Zack timeline. And so what happens in the Zack timeline? He finds out that Biggs is also alive in this timeline. Biggs is planning to go bomb another Shinra reactor because he's got nothing else to do. The rest of Avalanche is dead.
Yeah. The last two times they did that worked out spec-fucking-tacular.
Yeah, it's never once gone wrong. And so I'm going to fold this hand. So Biggs is going to go blow up a reactor, and Zack is going to go try to either stop him or support him. I don't know. Zack is going after him. Meanwhile, Zack has moved in with Aerith's mom and lives with her. And upstairs in Aerith's room, a version of Aerith and also a version of Cloud are just in comas. And so Aerith's mom and Zack are their caretakers now. There's a scene later in the game where they the comatose Cloud and Aerith wake up, but I think that might actually be in yet another timeline. I don't fucking
That's
know.
I think it is. I think it is. So like that and all of the stuff that we're talking about where it's like okay this is where the fuckery switch gets switched on throughout your playthrough of the normal of the Beagleverse timeline because you'll do like certain events and then characters will go to bed at night or whatever and then fuckery switch gets switched on and now you're in the Zack verse and you play around there for like 10 minutes and little bits of that storyline like him talking with Biggs Eris is him trying to get Eris to wake up and walking around reused assets from like Rebirth that happens and then the fuckery switched off and we're back into the Beagleverse Prime
Yeah, and there's not even one Zack because Zack's world is kind of used to explain the multiverse, and it's like anytime fate is defied, another world is created. So we see a world where he goes after Biggs, and then a world where he doesn't go after Biggs, and a world where he doesn't, or a world where he goes after Aerith instead of dealing with Biggs. Like there are multiple Zack timelines floating around out there, and they are never explained whatsoever. It's just like Zack is just there to let you know that there are now other worlds in Final Fantasy VII.
If you don't like Zack, don't worry because there is a section of this game where you will get to see 3 separate depths for Zack, like from where his choices lead him into a hail of bullets.
Yes.
So if you're somebody who doesn't like him, you get to watch him get riddled with bullets 3 separate times. That was actually the point of the game where certain things were starting to come together for me at the but that was the point where it was like, okay, this is some kind of a multiverse. Okay, like these are different variants of him. Like so, I kind of caught on to that point, but up until this point, I thought that Zack was running around in the Beagleverse Prime. And do you want to explain why I'm saying Beagleverse?
Oh yeah. So Square Enix, in their infinite wisdom, decided to separate all of these timelines by dog breeds. And so if you played Final Fantasy VII Remake 1, which is a mouthful, remember Stamp. Stamp is the dog mascot that you see all over the place, and in every different timeline, Stamp is a different breed of fucking dog. So we have to say, oh, it's the fucking Beagleverse in the Shina Ibu verse or whatever the fuck that goddamn dog is. Oh, look, it's the Hound Dog verse and the Bulldog universe. God damn it, Square Enix. So yeah, I understood early on that Zack was not in the main timeline. Like I remember thinking back because Zack shows up in kind of like the stinger, or not the stingers, like the last scene in Final Fantasy Remake 1, the ending is Zack. And so I think I understood early on that there was going to be a multiverse, and I remember thinking in Remake that I don't want time travel and I don't want a multiverse, but I guess if I have to pick one, it'll be a multiverse. And so I think I understood very early on that that's what would happen. That's what was happening because otherwise it made no sense for there to somehow to be like comatose Cloud hanging out at Aerith's house with comatose Aerith. Meanwhile, another Cloud and Aerith were actually going through the main story. So I don't know. Somehow, some way, I understood this was a multiverse. Oh god, this hurts to even talk about.
I completely missed because after I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, there was no point where I was like going to look at YouTube videos of like, what does the ending mean? What is such as the videos that I would watch on that game were like videos on like, okay, well, yeah, here's how you can like level up these materia quickly. And I was like, oh, well, that seems like a bunch of fucking work. And in the long run, that's only pays off for people who are wanting to play this game on its harder difficulties. Fuck that noise. And so that's kind of when I was like, yeah, I stopped looking into the game. But yeah, this is like Square has apparently like it's circulated around over the internet through like interviews and stuff. Like the game doesn't this is where my kind of like issue with it comes into. The game in no way tells you that like the dogs are the distinction of the multiverse, like whatever universe you're in. Now, Square and the project director, they've said that in several interviews since Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I've learned this after I beat this game because the ending pissed me off. I was like,
Yeah,
what the
you
fuck
should
is
not
happening?
have to go to an out. Did this game freeze? Like I don't know what's going on here. Uh, you should not have to go to an outside source to understand a game story, and that is 100% the scenario that this game put us into. And I think we're gonna have to pause here because it looks like this game froze. So we'll be right back. All right, we are back. No idea what happened with this game. It doesn't matter. But back to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What we were saying, what we were last saying, is we should not have to consult outside sources to understand a game story. And this is a game where 100% you were forced to do that. As Ronin said, the developers have said in interviews, oh yeah, these different dog breeds represent the other timelines. At no point in the game is that made explicitly
the
clear.
game doesn't tell you this. In some fairness to Square Enix, they have been saying this since Remake came out, like literally like a few weeks after Remake came out, because you had fans. There were some fans who did that specific type of nerdy fan who like is going to go into like detail about Luke's lightsaber is a slightly different color, like that type of fan. Noticed that the dog was different when Zack shows up. It like Stamper was a different dog, and they were asking, like, oh well, yeah, that's actually like the signifier of a different universe, of a different multiverse, and so that has been common knowledge within the Final Fantasy remake whatever community in these theory crafting videos and stuff since Remake came out. I am not a part of that community. I had no fucking clue until the ending pissed me off that the dogs were the important signifier. I just thought that, like, okay, Stamp is just like the military puppy. It didn't occur to me that Stamp was like, okay, well, it's important that Stamp be a beagle, or that Stamp not be a hound dog, or that Stamp not be, whatever, a Dachshund. Like that like the game, like they should have stepped up the visual art style, and in all these different universes the character should have been tweaked a little bit. Yeah, it's like, okay, Aerith has blue eyes in this universe instead of her normal eyes, or like, her hair is red or something, that like to signify that you are in, okay,
I
like
think
that is a distinct.
I think that they just needed to say fucking Universe 1, Universe 3, Universe 7.
Put a fucking.
Yeah.
If you're not going to give me a visual indicator of what universe I'm in, like like Futurama, okay, well in Futurama's weird multiverse where there's like the alternate version of the Planet Express crew, like everybody's colors are inverted. Yeah, it's like that, so like that, like that's fine. I know I know that's a different multiverse. Like Rick and Morty, all the multiverses have some weird ass shit going on in them. Like this is like, if they're all going to be the exact identical verse except for like one random change where Zach goes left instead of right, like you need to put a cue card or some sort of indicator to let me know, and you can keep the dogs there too, so that way it's like, okay, you like, so that way I can get clued in if I see, okay, verse, like, like variant B, variant C, and I see different dogs, like different dogs for stand, I'm going to clue that in, like it would not have been too hard for me to have worked this out on my own, but like there is no indicator in the game to let you know that, except for like hyper addicted nerds on the internet who've been spreading the shit around in Reddit and YouTube videos for 4 fucking years that I haven't been a part of.
Yeah, see, I knew about the dog shit. I knew about the different dog breeds representing different timelines going into this. I had a different problem. It's like, when we go to a new timeline, I am not looking at the bag of the chips in the background to check for the dog. I am looking at the characters doing their shit in the scene. So it's like,
yeah.
So it's like, okay, I just saw 2 scenes with Zach, and was it the same Zach, or am I looking at 2 different timelines with Zach? I don't know, because I missed where they hid the dog in the background. It's like, I hate it.
Yeah, I'm not busy looking for like stray details in the background, because this game has succeeded in one tremendous way, in that this game gets me to like everybody. Yeah, like everybody is very distinct, has great personality. Like so when you're so when we are in the big cutscenes, I want to see what's going on with these characters that I'm now very much attached to. I don't give a fuck about Cloud holding up the dog the bag of whatever. At this now, granted, the game does like if you're going to do it, that's how like make that an interactive thing or on the table you see it. So that way, don't put it in the background of a cutscene. But yeah, so I've I've it's they needed a better indicator of these dogs. Now that
Yeah.
I am aware of that, and the game should have done something to include me in on that earlier, and not been dependent on me like joining up 17 different pages. Like now that I'm clued into this, like okay, I get it. And once you know it, the game actually does explain. It's not like it's not like Evangelion where it's all fan theory and you have to connect a lot of dots based on like you're an educated guess. Like the game actually is pretty straightforward once you understand this crucial fact that it does not fucking tell you.
Well, it's straightforward until a point. So, anyways, the Zack timeline, the multiple Zack timelines, is the first big difference in the game here. So, what's another big difference? Sephiroth starts fucking with Cloud way sooner than he does in the original game. Like he is like as soon as the Nibelheim. Is that even Cloud's hometown's name? I don't even remember. Cloud's hometown that burned down. As soon as that flashback is over, Sephiroth is immediately there. Like, hey, Tifa, like she died, right? Like you saw her dead body, and so Cloud is immediately like questioning Tifa, and so Sephiroth is immediately trying to drive a wedge between Cloud and his friends. So that's another change. The next, I mean, there's smaller changes sprinkled throughout. Like again, Yuffie is there much earlier on. She's actually like a mandatory part of the story. The events in Junon are slightly different. Rufus Shinra actually extends an olive branch to Cloud and crew at one point, and so it's like basically like
Rufus doesn't give a fuck about you.
yeah, but Rufus is like, hey, I like let's end the war between us. Like, I will stop sending the Turks to kill you if and I will actually like pay you to go and stop Sephiroth. And just at that moment, Yuffie tries to assassinate him, and he's like, nope, fuck it, deal's off. And so the status quo is maintained. The group continues to. I'm losing this hand. I don't know why I'm doing this. But the status quo is maintained. The Shinra continues to be antagonistic towards the main characters here. Oh shit, I won. Wow, completely fucked up my train of thought. Anyways, Judon's slightly different. I think probably the biggest change is Gungaga, like Zack's hometown. First and foremost, Cloud starts remembering Zack, which is not a thing that happens in the original story until Cloud goes on his live stream adventure. Yes, his spirit quest. But Cloud is like aware of Zack now, so that's a massive change to the story. I'm very curious to see how they're going to make Cloud's like mental recovery work in the next game when they've already kind of like revealed one of the cards that Cloud has to be shown in that scene. But regardless, Cloud knows about Zack. But the big change is there's a brand new scene in this game at Gungaga where Tifa gets knocked into the live stream, and specifically Sephiroth again starts controlling Cloud at this point and tries to get Cloud to kill Tifa. And instead, he only
that was before earlier where I was like, "There's a thing that I was curious if this was going to change based on your love interest," because I've been focusing on Tifa, and when it happened, I was like, because this whole time, like while I'm playing the game, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, I mean, I don't know if they're going to redo like Eris's death in the exact same area. They're probably going to try and catch us off guard and kill somebody else in a different area, and then this happens, and I was like, What the fuck? No, you can't take my virtual girlfriend away from me.
Well, yeah,
So
I don't think I don't think you can control who goes into the live stream there because it was Tifa
no.
for me as
I
well.
was curious. Yeah, because I was curious. I was like, okay, I'll know when we talk about this because if it was Aerith, then like that means that that means it changes based on who you are. Because I know Steve. I know Steve's going to go with Aerith. You know,
Yeah,
Steve's
Aerith
going to try
is
and
the best girl. You
take
know,
it, like Aerith still has a strong connection to Zack, and Zack is Cloud's bro, and bros before hoes. All right,
no,
that's just the rule of the world, Steve.
look, Tifa only has two assets that are superior to Aerith. And of course, I am talking about her fighting ability and the fact that she was a childhood friend. Uh, so,
And that she's
Tifa.
very sweet and caring, Steve.
Aerith has got that too. Anyway, so Tifa gets knocked into the live stream, and Tifa has her own live stream adventure. The weapons show up here, which is different. Another change that isn't really paid off in this game is remember in the original game you try to go find the different giant materias, and they're just. In the original game, they are just giant materias out in the world that you go find. In this game, like they are inside the weapons.
They literally power the weapon.
Yeah, they power the weapons.
The weapons also look like fucking Pokemon. Right? This thing is like, oh, well, okay, that's Kyogre, like from like Pokemon. They like the weapons are just Pokemon now. It's like this is also where we are introduced to the two separate.
Oh God, yes, this is what I was getting at. This is the first time. Let me back up. So Tifa goes on her live stream adventure, and like at first she thinks the weapon is going to kill her, but then it kind of starts protecting her, and then the weapons get attacked by the plot ghost from the first game, like the black robed plot ghost. And at first I was like, oh fuck, like I thought these guys were gone. I didn't want them to come back, but they're attacking the weapon, and then like white or light gray colored plot ghosts show up, and they're fighting the black plot ghost. All right, so we'll go with probably black and gray.
So that's more politically correct than saying black and white. Yeah.
Well, there's black plot ghosts and gray plot ghosts, and they fight each other. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, "Oh fuck, this is just like the Heartless and the Nobodies from Kingdom Hearts." You had a black-colored bad guy and you had a gray-colored bad guy, and they were antagonistic to each other. Introduced in the second game, and they were antagonistic to each other, and they were antagonistic to your crew, and sometimes they helped you, and sometimes they fought you, and I was like, oh fucking God, this is the point where the game started to lose me. I was not thrilled with the Zack multiverse, but it's such a small part of the game. Like, for as weird as the Zack stuff is, the entire Zack gameplay section is 30 minutes sprinkled across the entire game. It is not much at all.
You could, with a little bit of tweaking, gameplay-wise, you could cut all of it.
And you actually can. In New Game Plus, you can just turn off the Zack scenes.
Well, I also mean like you could probably also remove him from the final fight, and like the game would still work out well. Like, yeah, he is not like his being in this game is not nearly as pivotal as one would think. But I guess they're setting it up for the third one.
Yeah, this game does way too much of setting shit up for the third game, which is going to be one of my big complaints. But anyways, Tifa gets introduced to the Heartless and the Nobodies, or their legally distinct versions. And at this point, I'm like, oh no, I don't like this at all. I don't want this. But Tifa exits the live stream, and all right, so we're here again. The internet continues to hate us. We continue to have connection issues.
Fucking plot ghost. That's what.
Fucking plot ghost. Yes. The last thing that I was saying, I think the last thing that I was saying that we got in the recording was Tifa goes into the live stream. She sees the black plot ghost and the gray plot ghost, and that was the point where I started really having doubts about the game, but I believe at that point Tifa exits the live stream, and like her I don't remember the specifics, but I think like her commitment to Cloud has been renewed because she kind of understands that Cloud's being fucked with. But that is probably that's one of the biggest major new additions to the game is the magical Tifa live stream plot ghost adventure. Ronan, your thoughts
So
on
like
that scene?
yeah, so like when you go into that scene, like you see like the black plot ghosts and they're swirling around Sephiroth. So I thought that what this was implying was that oh, okay, Sephiroth is responsible for these black plot ghosts, the Whisperers. He's responsible for them. He somehow figured out a way to create his own manifest destiny and the gray plot ghost because in this particular scene they were clearly fighting against the black ones and they seem to be aiding the the weapons. So I was like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. I guess a little bit. The black ones were evil all along, and the noble gray ghost, not at all noble white. The noble gray ghost are actually the good guys in all this. But no, that doesn't even hold out throughout
Yeah,
the end of this.
the gray ghosts are definitely like more on the party side than the other ones. But
the other one saved Barrett.
What do you mean they saved Barrett? You mean in the last game?
Yeah, in the last game, like
Yeah, I don't think these are the same
Barrett.
plot ghosts. I don't think the black plot ghosts are meant to be the same plot ghosts as the last game. I think these are God. This is shit that we should not have to talk about in Final Fantasy VIII. But I think in the last game they were
This is shit that would happen in a Star Wars game. That's what this is.
like in the last game like. They were trying to protect the timeline, and I think in this they just straight up work for Sephiroth. I don't think they were evil all along. I think just Sephiroth is corrupted them now since remake. But anyways, there's definitely evil plot ghosts that work for Sephiroth, and I guess more good-ish plot ghosts that will probably
More neutral.
yeah, like they'll probably help the team when it's convenient to the plot and go against them when it's not. Regardless, my immediate thought was Kingdom Hearts, and I hated it. I hated what I was seeing at this point.
But I didn't instantly make the Kingdom Hearts connection because I was more just kind of like relieved that like, oh shit, I thought they were killing Tifa off really early, and that was going to be the big swerve in this game. Is that okay? Well, because we're like the rules, like the bets are off from the established timeline, so anybody could possibly bite it. And I thought that's what I was thinking, and it didn't happen. But this also does establish a new pattern that happens in this that going forward from this, and that's Cloud's team is way too eager to let him keep doing this. It's okay. So at this moment, you can just kind of go, okay, well, this is a one and done thing. They think he has Mako poisoning, but this keeps happening. Cloud doing weird shit and starting to attack teammates at crucial plot critical moments. At a certain point, like even if he is like the team, like like okay, well yeah, he's the team powerhouse. At a certain point, you have to realize, okay, he can't be trusted anymore. At what moment do you say no? We have to work out. We have to figure out what's wrong with Cloud before we keep letting him go further into the adventure with us.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like how many friends does Cloud get to pull a sword on before you decide, you know what? Pause. Put a pin in this little adventure we're on. Guys, can we have a little get together? Guys, something's wrong with Cloud. He can't come with us anymore. I felt the same way.
Yeah, like so, like this continues onwards throughout the rest of the game. But this Gungaga was also the point of the game where I was starting because Steve was like, Ronan, you have to go through this quickly. Ronan, come on, hurry up. Like, no, Steve, I'm committed. I'm 100%ing every area because I'm enjoying myself, and I'm going through this, and I'm doing these side quests. I got a cool gun for Barrett doing these side quests, Steve. You shut the fuck up and let me... And then I got to Gungaga, and I fucking hated the region. It was it was just a fucking nightmare to move around this area.
Oh, yeah.
This was the point where it started to break me. Okay,
Yeah, see, God.
you were broken from story choices. I was broken from gameplay choices.
See, I was protected. So this is a sidebar. This is how I play every open world game. I starting out, I do absolutely everything. Every single little shiny on the map, I go and get it. And then about halfway through, or what I assume is about halfway through the game, I stop that. I'm like, all right, you know what? I just want to see how the story ends. And so I beeline to the end of the game, and then I go back and do all the stuff I've missed. So I hit that point like right at like whatever place is before Gungaga. I finished the spot before Gungaga, and then when I hit Gungaga, I was like, all right, I just want to get to the ending now. So I protected myself from that. Now I did do some side quests. I did all of the card side quests because I like that card game. But yeah,
That's what I started doing.
Getting around Gungaga sucked. I will also say that getting around Cosmo Canyon sucked. So I limited my side questing for sure in those two areas. And the Nibelheim area or whatever, I can't remember if that's the right
No, it's
name.
Nibelheim.
Nibelheim. All right. All I did in Nibelheim was find my chocobo, and I didn't do any of the side quests in it. I just beelined the story.
By the time I got to, because Gungaga was where I was like, no, fuck this. The Cosmo Canyon didn't bother me. Like that made more sense. It's like, okay, well, this Chocobo thing takes you from here to here. That was also the point where they put in an update because there was a Chocobo mini game where the the controls for the Chocobo were like inversed and fucked backwards with the porcupine, so it was next to impossible to fucking do it. So they put in like an update to make that mini game easier. But this was also the point where because I was, like I said, I was dedicated. I'm doing all these side quests because I want all this stuff. But at a certain point, I started to realize like, okay, Barrett has one arm gun that's connected to a random side quest. But by and large, the bulk of the best shit in this game, like the best materials and stuff, that's connected to God, what's it? Chadley. That's connected to like Chadley, and so like I could just go through there and see. Okay, does he have any good material here? Does he have any? Is there any more of those cool dual like fire ice material that gives you 2 spells in 1 slot? Does he have any more of those? Nope. Oh, here's the magnify one. Okay, I'll do what I need to unlock that, because like most of the best materia and stuff is put behind that, and all the good armor and shit is tucked away in a chest. So the side quest kind of bet nothing, and it's like you might get Gil or maybe like some ethers from them. So that's where I really started to tune out. But you miss cool shit from these side quests. And I've already spoken to you about this side quest, but we need to get it on the record. So this is in Gungaga. There was an old woman with chickens. Yes, you have a side quest where you have to collect this woman's chickens. And it's fucking atrocious. The camera angle goes into this weird Resident Evil style thing where it's like fixed but kind of moves backwards. You move super fucking slow. It's placed behind you, so you don't know if you're about to bump into shit. And if you bump into shit, you can't like drag the can that the chicken is chasing. It is exactly as stupid as it sounds. And you have to do this like 3 times in town, and then the 4th chicken is out of town. And I was like, you motherfuckers, I will delete this fucking game if I have to bring this fucking chicken back from the goddamn jungles in the town. I will delete this game and just tell Steve I'm out, I can't do this, I'm out. But no, it doesn't happen. The chicken gets run off by monsters, which is great. So and this is a Cloud and Red 13 specific side quest. Important to note. So they are the 2 main characters in this particular quest. So you bring the chickens back to the old lady, who is thrilled that you brought back all of her chickens, and she tells you, thank you so much for bringing my chickens back to me. And before I get to that, I was telling Steve, I fucking hate these goddamn chickens. I hate this fucking side quest. I want these chickens to fucking die. I hope they get roasted. 2 minutes later, real time, I saved the last chicken. And the old woman, thank you so much. Why don't you let me thank you by making you a delicious chicken pot pie? And the camera angle gets really weird and like fisheye lens as she leans in and picks up this chicken. And Red 13 looks horrified because he could like talk to the chickens and he was convincing the chickens to come back to the coop instead of being wild in the jungle. Like, say goodbye! Lift up the chicken and like camera goes black, and the next thing you see is Cloud and Red 13 walking out of her house, and Red looks like he has been molested by this woman. His face is petrified. He looks terrified. He's like, I did this. I told the chickens. They could have been free if I hadn't done it. And Cloud just kind of looks at him and says, a man's got to eat. that's
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Wonderful, weird shit. I was like, they won me back with that one because that is when I say this game has a lot of weird shit. That's the great weird shit, like stuff like that, and then like getting off of like the confusing plot stuff, getting into some of the awesome weird shit. You have the Fort Condor missions
with Gilgamesh.
Fort Condor in the original game was like a tower defense side game in Cosmo Canyon. In Rebirth or whatever, Fort Condor is just an actual game people play. And apparently Cloud says that like, oh well, this is how we used to train. So we got trained on this for like learning tactics and shit. But so you get sucked into Fort Condor, and suddenly all the graphics go back to Final Fantasy VII original. Like they're like low res, like well I mean they're high res polys, but the models are like these low res like high like only like Cloud is made from like exactly 5 polygons, that kind of shit. And that's the kind of great weird shit. Now I hated playing Fort Condor, fucking hated it. But that's the kind of weird shit that I enjoy because like you get in there and Barrett's like, hey, what the hell is going on here? What the fuck is all of this nonsense? It's like I was very pleased with that. Along with Steve has mentioned the card battle game. I hated the card battle game at first, and then I started to love it. But so there is a cruise ship mission involving the card-based game. Steve, tell the people about who your final encounter is.
Oh God, yeah. So, Red 13 wants to play this card game, but he's basically told, "Oh, sorry, only humans can play." And so the final opponent is Red 13 puts on his weird shit from the original game. In the original game, you get on a boat from Junon to go to Costa del Sol, and your characters are in disguise. And there's a room you can go into where Red 13 is trying and failing to walk on 2 legs while he's wearing this bright blue Shinra outfit. This is Rebirth's version of that. So Red 13 puts on a Shinra outfit and tries to walk on his hind legs, and he starts like dancing around. He's
doing Michael Jackson.
He's fucking moonwalking and dancing around. This red tiger person in a blue outfit dresses up to play a card game against Cloud because he has to pass for human, and clearly he's not, but they let it go anyway. Delightful, an absolutely fucking delightful scene in this game.
That was wonderful. It's not quite as wonderful as I was hoping it was going to be, because there wasn't like it didn't have the honeybee dance like the honeybee scene, because I was thinking when you were going to have to do the marching stuff, it's that same kind of rhythm game where you hold down the square or do the buttons and that kind of thing. But there is that weirdness there where Cloud is like convinced, absent, like he's convincing a bunch of Shinra soldiers that he's actually like, oh no, I'm your commanding officer for this televised marching event. Like there's some fun to be had there, but when you get to Gold Saucer, you get like another bizarrely wonderful kind of musical sting intro where you are introduced to fucking Heihachi. It's not Heihachi, but it might as well be Heihachi.
It's Dio.
Dio has rocked for a long, long time, and like you get this wonderful little like muscle scene with him. It's like all the gold saucer stuff was great because that's where you get like these that's where you get the bizarre weirdness. It's like okay, well, like the boxing mini game is there. I think that there's the motorcycle mini game is in there, and you get these tokens to buy more cards with, or I guess armor and stuff if that's what you want to do. But this is where you also get your first faux date with Cloud. Steve, tell me about your first date with Cloud. What was it like?
I forgot that scene was even in the game. I just know that it was also Aerith at that point.
yeah, yeah. That was how mine was. Apparently, you can apparently get the kiss scene with Yuffie, and I'm like, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, Yuffie's like 14 or something.
Yeah, I was about to say Yuppie in this game, I believe, is like only she like as competent as a child she is a literal fucking child. Like the fact that there is like a kiss scene with her and Cloud is awkward. Uh, it doesn't make me feel good. But like yeah, you do get like there is like it goes back more into like okay, well like they're building strong character stuff, and the character stuff in this it's like we mentioned it in the last game where it's like okay they took Barrett, who was just like a walking stereotype in the original Final Fantasy VII, and turned him into a real person with emotions that you understand, and like you see that he, even though he puts on the facade of being this like just gruff angry asshole, you can like you tell pretty quickly on that he can work out when people are hurting or not, and like like I mean like mentally kind of hurting. Yeah, he can work that out pretty quickly, and he's very sympathetic to it, like cause he's like they go out of their way to make him like a great character. So we do get some more great characters introduced, like Sid Highwind's introduction. Like the minute that you get to that air pad, you pop up the smoke, and the music starts to change. I got a goofy smile on my face as the plane went onto the runway, and the camera pans up from his boots up to his body, and Sid starts talking. He doesn't swear nearly enough. That is, I'm gonna have to take some points away from this game. If I recall correctly, every text box he had in the original game had a fuck or something in it that they had to like squibble out. He doesn't curse nearly enough in this game.
Yeah, we should note that both Sid and Vincent are in this game, but they are not playable characters. Vincent, you meet him in Shinra Manor, just like you do in the original game, and he just starts following your characters around. I thought that maybe he was going to be like Red 13, because in the original game, Red 13 in the original game, like he's there, he will attack enemies during fights, but you can't control him. So I thought
he's a non-playable ally character in combat in the original game.
Yeah, I thought that maybe they were going to do that with either Vincent or Sid, and I don't think either of them do. So they're just kind of there. So Vincent's introduction is mostly the same. You have a boss fight against him, which is new. He goes to one of his monster forms. Sid's introduction is very different. Rocket Town is not in this game.
It's gone completely.
Yeah, it's gone completely. And so. What am I doing here? So Rocket Town is gone, and so Sid is basically just like a fast travel service. He's
the bus driver.
Yeah, he's got the tiny Bronco. He's got his plane, and so there's different points in the map where you can call him to like drive or to fly you to a different part of the map. There comes a point early on, it is very difficult to go back to a previous open world section. And eventually it opens up, and one of the ways it opens up is Sid. Sid can just fly you to another part of the world. But eventually the tiny Bronco gets damaged, and from that point on, Sid also just follows your characters around, but does not join you in battle at all. There's even a couple of dungeons where he's like, nah, I'm cool. I'm just going to sit outside and wait for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart play. I don't blame him. Hopefully, I'm going to make a brave and bold assumption that the reasoning for this is because because of the complexity of the combat engine. And like all the bizarre like character tag team moves and stuff, there just wasn't enough time and space to slide in 2 additional characters. But spoilers, one of those characters is no more, and so like in the next game, hope like they hopefully are going to add both of them in. I don't know how they would
They
do it.
have to. Like
Yeah,
they've got to be playable characters in part 3. Like they've got to be.
you can't tease us with like Sid and like a Sid and Vincent being here because like Sid at the very least gets Sid has more stuff to do. Oh shit! I just remembered the greatest like what the fuck kind of like happy kind of crazy moment. So the musical play that happens in Cold Saucer.
Oh yeah,
Where,
the date
where
that you go on. It's part of
yeah,
the day, right?
I think it is. Like I believe it is part of the date, but like all of your characters, or a fair amount of them, like Barrett is like an evil knight in this, and Red 13 is like an evil beast, and I don't like because Tifa played the princess in mine, and Aerith was like some like I forget she was a different character because I guess the roles were switched, and I would be mortified if like Yuffie can swap into one of these roles. No disrespect to Yuffie, but that's fucking creepy. But like that was another one of those moments where I was kind of sitting back giggling, watching the just incredible silliness of what's going on. Our characters reading Shakespearean stuff, and like it cuts to a scene of like Sid and he's asleep in the fucking crowd. Like he just lost interest in this silly shit. He's just an old man like me and wants to sleep in his chair. I,
Yeah,
I resonated highly. I resonated a lot with not with Steve, with Sid falling asleep in his chair.
the characterization in this game is phenomenal. Every character is wonderful and lovable, and as you're playing the game, you want nothing but the best for them. So keep in mind how much I am telling you I love the game up to this point. Because I think, like, Ron, is there anything else that you want to talk about or mention before we go into the finale?
I don't think so. That seems like it hit most of the. I mean, there is a part where like okay, you have to fight in Dio's stead, where Don Corneo shows back up because he in the original game he doesn't show up unless you go to Wutai. And I
Right.
think Wutai was an optional area, so it's possible when you get out of Midgar you never see him again. But they put him in a Gold Saucer here, where it's like he's trying to take over Gold Saucer, and his hype men show up while Dio's trying to give an intro, and his two hype men just like start doing this weird battle rap. And I was like, okay, this is fun, stupid shit. I'm okay with I'm okay with this fun, stupid shit. It's so, but that goes into the list of like just weird shit that's in this game, and then what you're getting into the in-game stuff, and now they're telling you it's like, oh well, once you get to the Temple of the Ancients, no one ever comes back from there, and then we get into the literal end game of this.
Yeah. So after Nibelheim, I think it's after Nibelheim, you get on your tiny Bronco, which is just a boat at this point. Its wings have been destroyed, and you boat up to the Temple of the Ancients. And so
It's not. You have to go to the Gold Saucer first because you have to get some some temple key or something like that Dio has.
yeah, and I
And
think I think that's when you have your Don Corneo boss fight, right?
yeah, you get that, and like because you were saying like after Nibelheim, and it's like no, this comes.
All right, so you go back to Gold Saucer.
Yeah, you go back to Gold Saucer. You have to fight to get that thing. Kate Sif takes it from you. Spoilers: Kate Sif is not who he seems to be. Takes it from you, and now we're supposed to feel bad for him. And I was like, why am I supposed to feel sorry for him? I knew he was a fuck in the beginning, but I like that. That's an area where I enjoy Kate Sif's character, but at the same time, it's like, well, like we all know, like, okay, well, this is just Reeves, so like I don't feel bad when the cat turns on you and people tell him to get out of the group. That's what you should do. But like they take the key, and then so the Turks and Shinra head off to the temple because they think it's the promised land, and we're following them in our tiny tugboat.
Yes. So the end game. you go to the Temple of the Ancients, and the Temple of the Ancients is a long fucking dungeon. I don't have much to say about it. I didn't necessarily have a good time in that dungeon,
No,
but
I had well and truly checked out by this point. But, like a lot of your issues with this game come to like story stuff. Most of mine, the story stuff actually doesn't bother me too much now that I know. Like the game should have told me this stuff, but like once I figured out that okay, well that's what this shit means, it kind of makes enough sense for me to give it a pass. But this game has the exact same fucking problem that Remake had, and it doubles down on it. It takes the padding that the original game, like Remake did, because Remake had to take a 3 hour chunk of the original game and turn it into 40. So it takes that padding and it puts cheese on it and then sandwiches it between two pieces of chicken because it's doubling down on that shit. And again, by the time I got to this point, I was done. I was like, this game has gone on way too long. The charm is gone. I'm fucking over this shit. I want it to end. And Steve's like, no, Ronin, you've only got like 2 more hours left. And let's say 16 hours later. Little did I know. Like, no. This
in my defense, it had been like 2 months since I played the game, and I'd been waiting on you to finish.
In my defense, I believe you would have told me anything to have gotten me to finish.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you also could have just, hurried the fuck up, and we wouldn't have gotten to this point. Anyways, you go to the Temple of the Ancients. Temple of the Ancients, even though the dungeon I was not thrilled with, there are great moments where everyone but Cloud has to go off and kind of face their demons. There's a great scene with Aerith where she has to relive her mom dying. Everyone gets a scene. But then what happens at the end ultimately is Cait Sith comes back because he does in the original game, but Cloud goes off. Stop me if you heard this one. Cloud turns on his friends, and so Cloud
we're admitting like 4 other times where this happens.
Yeah,
because it happens a lot.
It's a thing,
and
in
everyone's
this game.
just like, oh well, that darn Mako portion thing. We might as well let the strongest member of our group stay with us and keep threatening us with his giant fucking sword.
I mean, it would be a hell of a difference from the original game if you just abandoned Cloud. But anyways, so Temple of the Ancients, you get to the dungeon. Everyone has their scene where they face their fears and their greatest failures and challenges and whatnot. And Cloud turns on Aerith. Cloud is chasing Aerith down, saying, "Give me the black materia. Give it to me. I just I need it." So he's chasing Aerith. And ultimately, both he and Aerith fall off the side into this, I don't know, bottomless pit live stream void or something. And they wake up in yet another universe. And at first, I thought this was the Zack universe, but apparently it's not.
That's what I thought. No,
apparently it's not. They
no,
wake.
It's not. I thought
they
it
wake
was too.
Yeah, they wake up in what is like the 7th or 8th different universe presented in this game. And they go on a date, and we get some plot at this point. The sky has this giant yellow rip in it, and this yellow rip was in Zack's timeline, one of the Zack timelines anyway as well, and we just didn't talk about it. But essentially, if this yellow tear in the sky is present, that means that your universe, your timeline, whatever you want to call it, is doomed. And so they're in a timeline with that yellow rip in the sky, and Aerith and Cloud go on a date, and the purpose of this date is to give Cloud the white materia. A minor plot point in this game was the white materia is empty. It's now just a clear glass ball, and so it can't be used anymore because reasons. And so somehow, some way, it's been filled up again, Aerith's journey and the adventure, the memories of her adventure, the power of friendship has filled up the white materia again.
It's filled up the white materia with Kingdom Hearts light.
Yes.
Oh my fucking god! It just occurred to me.
Kingdom Hearts is light.
When you walk away.
Oh God! So the white materia has been filled with the power of friendship, and so Aerith gives the materia to Cloud and pushes him through a portal, And so now Aerith is separated from the rest of the crew, which is the same thing that happens in the original game. And so now Cloud and the rest of the crew go to, I think it's the City of Ancients. And so Cloud, and this is the point where the game fully and truly loses me, and I hate everything from this point forward. Aerith is, she's down, she's praying, and everyone who's played the original game knows the scene that I'm talking about. She is praying.
You know it's about to happen.
You know it's about to happen. And so she is praying. The plot goes, I think, keep the other characters that aren't Cloud at bay. And so Cloud is walking towards Aerith. He's got his sword. He's about to strike her, but he stops. He controls himself. He does not go through. Sephiroth does not have enough control over him at this point to kill Aerith. And so Sephiroth's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Yeah. And so Sephiroth comes down from the sky. He's got a sword. He's about to stab Aerith. And Cloud says, no. And he takes his sword and he blocks Sephiroth's attack and
clearly shown that he blocks it.
Blocks Sephiroth's attack and knocks Sephiroth away. Aerith has been saved. And out loud, sitting in my basement at like 1 o'clock in the morning playing this game, I out loud said, oh shit, like they're fucking doing this. Like they're actually like paying off the whole defying fate thing, which is the whole premise of the last game. Like I am fucking hyped. I did not think they were going to do it.
Back for about 15 seconds. They won you back.
They absolutely had. Because I going into this game, like I would have been fine if Aerith lived. I'd have been fine if she died. And I thought those were my only two choices, and I'm about to tell you how fucking wrong I was. But anyway, so Cloud has saved Aerith, and I am in my basement freaking the fuck out, because holy shit, they actually fucking did it. And then the screen flickers, and then there was a close-up on Sephiroth's sword, and then the screen flickers, and now the sword is in a different position, and now
a position inside of a warm cavity.
Yes, a position that indicates that Sephiroth has now successfully stabbed someone, and now there is a pool of blood, and now Aerith's limp body is falling on the ground, and at this point, I actually like paused the ending. Thankfully, this game lets you pause cutscenes. I paused.
I think that was something they added in an update. It didn't at first, but I think an update it added in like a week or two in, let you pause cutscenes.
Well, they did. I'm thankful for that, because I paused the ending. I'm like, wait a minute, like what? Like what? Like what? Cloud stopped. Like what happened? So so in my head, I'm like I missed something.
You didn't miss anything, Steve.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm like I clearly misinterpreted that scene. Like somehow, I thought Aerith was saved, but clearly I missed something. So I paused the video, I paused the ending, and then I went and looked up the ending on YouTube, and I watched it, and no, I saw exactly what I thought I saw. And so then I continued with the ending, confused as all shit. So I have no idea what the fuck is going on at this point. And then we get
so you were hyper confused, and then you still had 17 hours.
And then
battle to go.
then there's like a 6-part boss gauntlet. Like legend has it, this boss gauntlet is still going on to this day. First like the crew fights Genova. And then,
which was awesome. This part had me hyped.
Yes, yeah. I was not hyped because at this point I was still like in analytical mode. Like and that's kind of my problem. Like this entire boss rush, the entire time, I am not thinking of the bosses whatsoever. I'm just pushing buttons that I know attack. Because in my head, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell just happened. So I have no emotional reaction whatsoever to what I'm seeing, because my brain is essentially like doing fucking puzzles at this point. So you get a boss fight against Genova, and then Cloud disappears into the void, and then Zack also shows up in this void, and then
Somehow?
somehow, because reasons, Zack and Cloud team up and have a boss fight against Sephiroth, which again, like, Cloud is very fucking aware that Zack exists now, so like his mental trauma and how it's resolved is going to be very different going forward. And then Zack gets banished back into the multiverse, and Zack has a fight on his own in another dimension where a
In a
fucking
weird
meteor's about to
church?
hit. And then you go back to like the unimportant characters, because at this point, like, Cloud, Aerith, and Zack are important, and the rest of the crew is just like hanging back all in the real world, just doing their own thing. So they have a boss fight, and then like you go back to Zack and back to the main team, and then at one point, Cloud is about to
At
fight
one point-
Sephiroth, and then
Aerith shows up.
Aerith, who is fucking dead, shows up to participate in a boss fight, and ultimately you win. You beat all of the bosses. I don't know why anyone in this crew should be afraid of Sephiroth at this point in Game 3, because you've already beaten him in his Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Sephiroth mode. And so you do this boss gauntlet, and then it cuts back to they go to Aerith's body, and then it completely skips like the burial air quote scene. In the original game,
He walks
very
into the
dramatic
water,
scene.
and that's
Yes,
it,
he
he's gone.
he takes her body and walks out to the water and just like lets her drift down to the bottom of this lake in the city of the ancients. Completely skips all that, and so everyone is crying except Cloud. Like, everyone is devastated because Aerith is dead,
Because
except
Cloud was
Cloud.
talking to Aerith.
Because Aerith
Aerith
is just there. Aerith is just there having a chat with them. And so at this point, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm getting no enjoyment out of this. Like, whatever emotion this game is trying to evoke from me, it is failing, because all I am feeling right now is confusion. And so everyone is devastated because Aerith is dead, except Aerith is there having a chat with Cloud. There's a scene with like Rufus, where Rufus has been working with this guy who is like a Wu-Tai agent or something.
Guy.
But it turns out it was actually Sephiroth. Rufus is also somehow involved with the plot ghost. So Rufus's participation in the plot has gone way up. But back to the main crew, again, everyone's devastated because I have so many regrets about this hand that I threw away. Everyone's devastated because Aerith is gone, yet Aerith is there. Everyone is crying. They get back to the tiny Bronco. They're like, all right, we have to, we can't stay here. We got to leave. Everyone's crying. Everyone's still crying. Meanwhile, Cloud is just off in the corner having a conversation with Aerith. And apparently Aerith and Cloud have this super secret plan to take down Sephiroth, and they are not bothering to tell the rest of the crew. And then everyone but Aerith just gets on the plane and leaves. And see ya in 4 years and another $70. Ronin, what the fuck happened in this ending?
So, like, this is the point where it's like, because when I first played through this, I was just as confused by most of the same plot beats. I didn't pause the game to like look up what was going on, but because I wanted to wait until afterwards. But yeah, like I think at some point between here, I don't know if it's like during the actual boss battle or in the spot just before Cloud and Aerith fall into like the black void or whatever that was. But there is a moment where Cloud and Sephiroth are kind of like floating through this void, and Sephiroth is talking to Cloud. And like it sounds like it's in all anime garble, not typical nonsense stuff, but like he's actually pretty straightforward once you realize like the multiverse thing. He's pretty straightforward telling you his plan. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna destroy, like, it's kind of like comic book logic where it's like, okay, well, if you destroy Earth Prime or whatever, you destroy all the other verses. So but instead of destroy, it's like, well, I'm going to bring them all home. This is going to be a homecoming.
Yeah, his reunion now is less about getting all of the people with Genova cells together, and it's like it's like the reunion of universes. Like he's trying to. I think he's trying to merge the multiverse back into one world. I think.
Yeah. Well, because in the original game, what he was trying to do was he was summoning meteor, so the planet would use life stream to stop it, and he was going to put himself at the impact zone, absorb all the life stream, and become a living god or whatever. That's what he
Right.
was wanting to do in the original game. In this game, it's not he's not so much interested in casting meteor, at least not yet. Like for all we know, in part three, meteor is going to get cast or whatever. But he is still like, okay, well, I'm going to unite. I'm going to merge like Homecoming all the universes that are only fractured because of what I did in the last game. But
Yeah,
I'm like, so
it's like he's purposely creating new universes because he says that every time you defy fate, a new universe is created. So it's like he's purposely manipulating things to create new universes to then just pull them back together.
yeah, to then become a different version of a living god or whatever. Okay. Like so like as weird and simplistic as that is, it's like okay, that follows along. That works well enough for like anime-ish RPG boss shit. It's always some kind of variant of oh well, I'm going to end suffering by ending everybody. It's always some kind of weird ass variant of that like all the great anime RPG villains want to do. It's dumb, but it's not dumber than anything else I've ever heard before. So I'm willing to go along with it, except for the fact that again, you're going to join these universes together so you can do something and become like a living god, and you want Cloud to be there with you. We've kind of omitted the Black Materia because like the Black Materia gets a weird origin story in this game. Uh, like in Cloud, I thought like because like there's a little hidden moment at the end of the game where Cloud reaches into his pocket and he somehow has black materia on
Yeah.
him. When the black materia was like lost or given up or something like that like previously. So the fact that he has it on him is like, well, wait a minute, how the fuck did he get that? So somebody slipped it into his pocket because like he's treating the black materia like Gollum treats the One Ring. If that's like so for the listener out there. That's how Cloud is like going after it. It's like the black materia is his precious because of the mind fuckery Sephiroth has done to him.
Yeah, the new origin story for the Black Materia is like the Gi, like the spirits that attacked Cosmo Canyon, like they created it to try to destroy the world, and now Sephiroth has it. So that's another new thing they added to the game. So what?
Yeah, because the Gi, they're aliens or something like that, similar to Genova, because Genova didn't come from the planet, and so because they didn't come from the planet, they can't die. If they get killed, finger quotes, they just
Their spirits
back.
are just there in purgatory, essentially.
Yeah, they can't join the life stream because they're not natural part of the planet. So
Yeah.
for them, like existence, it's the Mr. Meeseeks. Existence is pain. They're over it and they just want to die. So when you explain it like that, it's like okay, well I actually feel for these guys a little bit. But so their plot was like okay, well we just want to die, so we're going to kill everybody. So again, stupid anime shit. But that sets up the Black Materia quest. We have to get the Black Materia because it's this powerful thing, and Sephiroth wants it too. So if we get it, they can't have it. And then Cloud starts to obsess over it like he's Gollum. But he obsesses over it because he's wanting to give it to Sephiroth, or I assume it's because that's what's gonna happen. At least at least in the original timeline, that's what happens is he gives the Black Materia to Sephiroth, and that's when he disappears into the life stream. But so, like, the story stuff, by and large, I mean, it's still flimsy and everything, and it holds together. But, like, what really kind of pissed me off and irked me off was, like, the gameplay. Like, it's, like, gameplay stuff. It's like, because exactly what you said. It was, like, this bizarre 27-phase boss rush battle where shit just keeps happening. And what happens in the original game is, like, okay, Aerith dies, there's a boss fight. And during this boss fight, you don't get like this, like there's no like super pumped up music to get you into it. The whole time you're having this boss battle in the original game, sad, somber music is playing. Like next to no music is playing. You're there to really
Yeah,
soak in the
it carries
sadness of.
on like the Eris death theme.
Yeah,
Dun
it
dun
doesn't. It
dun
doesn't sudden. Yeah, it
dun
doesn't
dun dun.
suddenly. Yeah, it doesn't suddenly like get you into like super hyped up action. Now, don't get me wrong. When this battle scene started with Seth Roth who summons Shadova, like it actually does kind of make sense because the party team has seen Aerith die. Everyone's pissed off and angry. Yeah, like that's going to be your first response is anger. Okay, let's kill this motherfucker first, and then we'll be sad. Okay, I get it. I'm with you so far. So you have this battle like for like stage one or whatever Genova. And it's like, okay, everything's going great. Everything's going cool. You got the music. You're pumped up. You're like, yeah, I'm going to kick this motherfucker's ass. And then you get like the sweet, cool, awesome choreographed fight scene shit where it's like all the party members get their own little beat. Everyone's helping out. You're about to stomp fucking ass in Genova. You kick its ass like, yeah, this is fucking amazing. This is like the 3 minutes of Advent Children that were great. Like it's exactly what's happening in this game. And then suddenly instead of it ending and then you kind of getting a chance to go back to the somber reality of the death of your teammate, it just there's so much fucking padding in this game. They can't just let shit end. Like it's a no. We need this boss battle to like you said. Like it's still happening in some phase of the universe. I heard tell that there are speedrunners who got this boss battle down to 16 hours. It's incredible. But it keeps going, and then more stupid shit happens. So you're not able to really, even though you knew it was coming. You like it's okay. Well, you're kind of damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you don't kill Aerith, then like that moment doesn't get to be recaptured. And if you do kill Aerith, you're gonna you have to treat the moment right. And if you don't treat it right, you're gonna upset Steve. so
You ain't wrong.
that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And they chose the third option of it's like, well, okay, we're gonna not only are we gonna kill her, but we're gonna fuck it up by padding everything out and just making it more fucking complicated and more fucking confusing. So, like, once I understood the shit with the dogs, like in each multiverse and everything, most of the plot stuff, it makes enough sense for me to keep going with it. For the most part, but like the thing just keeps dragging out and dragging out, and then it does shit that even I've watched a couple of I have watched videos on what the ending of this game means. I never did it for Final Fantasy Remake because I kind of got it, or at least I thought I did. This game, no, I was confused as fuck, so I had to watch videos, and so that's where I got filled in about okay, here the multiverse stuff. It's like okay, that's fair enough. None of these theory crafters have any fucking clue about what's going on with Aerith.
Yeah, join the club.
So this is something. It's like this is one of those things. It's like okay, there is no going theory on this. It's like okay, is she there? Is Cloud talking to her in like a spirit form? If that's what's happening, okay, cool, fair enough. Don't drag this shit into the ground. Do it sparingly. I would, if you're going to do something like that, you need to do it. It's going to be a bizarre comparison, but do it like Venture Brothers, where Henchman 21 and 24, after 24 is killed, Henchman 21 keeps talking to him for about 5 or 6 episodes until he stops. He just goes away, and then 21 has a mental breakdown because he just lost his friend. He lost his friend for really reals this time, and okay, as silly as this example sounds, okay that. If you're going to do it like that. Okay, if Aerith in spirit form is still talking to Cloud, but she stops after a couple of hours, and then Cloud gets sad or something. Do it like that. Don't drag it out for 47 hours. Don't do it. You can't do it, and you'll fuck it up. So just you're better off not doing it. The crack in the sky, because there is now a crack in the sky of the Beagleverse, but only Cloud can see it. Because none of the other characters, they specifically have Cloud looking up at the sky, because he tells everyone to look up, and they're like, I don't get it. What are you talking about, bro? It's no one can see the rift in the sky. Only Cloud sees it. Which I'll give a little bit of leeway to mystery stuff at the ending, because I know that there is a sequel coming for this. If this was a one and done game with this kind of an ending, I'd be really pissed off because there's no guarantee of a sequel. So some of the stuff I assume is going to be paid off in a third game. I like you have to leave us with some questions. But adding all of this stuff in completely and utterly ass fucks the moment of Eris's death, which should have a lot more impact. And they just because you get the moment of her death and then followed by 17 hours of intense action. Like we never get that chance to really feel the moment of her dying. And like that is a story fuck up. That is a gameplay fuck up. And that does the fuckery switch I can deal with, like the fuckery switch getting switched on and on throughout the rest of the game. But they did it at the end of this fucking game, which you and I have been talking about. This gives it a comparison to another game that we've both infamously ranted about, Mass Effect 3, a game that had tremendously awesome character moments right up until the last 5 minutes. Except for in this game, it's not the last 5 minutes; it's the last 16 hours, and that stings a little bit more. It stings a little bit more to a certain extent. This can be fixed, or at least it can be unfucked a little bit with Final Fantasy 3, whatever the third game's going to be. It can take a little bit of the bad taste out of our mouth, but you have more or less perpetually fucked the end of this game. You can't unfuck it. Even if the next game answers all these questions and ends on a tremendous high note, the second game still fucking has a bad ending. And you can't take that back. And so that's always going to be a more on this game. Like, the ending fucking sucks. It's stupid. Yeah, I don't share your raw. I don't share your raw bitter hatred for multiverse stuff. Because it can be done well. There are plenty of great comic book stories where multiverse is done well. It just so happens that we're going through a hellscape of shitty Marvel, and every other property wants to do multiverse and do it terribly. So we're just going through a hellscape of bad multiverse stuff. But just because there is multiverse doesn't mean that it's instantly bad. So I don't hate it for the multiverse stuff. I was once I called on to that. It's okay, whatever. That's what we're doing. It's the gameplay stuff, and it's how they just royally fucked up the pacing of the end of the game. That really hurts it for me.
Oh god! So I'm gonna talk about the ending in a minute, but I multiverse shit is just, it's such a fucking cop out. It's such lazy goddamn storytelling. But I mean, my big problem with this is think of the original Final Fantasy VII. It had,
all 7 polygons.
All 7 polygons of it. It had ghosts and aliens and monsters and magic and an explicit afterlife and a living planet. There were eco-terrorists talking, or having to think about how far is too far in pursuit of the greater good. It dealt with death and loss and moments you could never get back. And the writers of this game looked at all that and said, nope, that's not enough for me to work with multiverse. God damn it. Anyways.
A slight counterpoint to that is that the writers of the original Final Fantasy VII knew that they could get that all into one game, whereas these writers have to stretch that out through 3. So I'm slight counterpoint, but I agree. I agree with the point.
No, there's you could take every part of the multiverse story out of this game, and you could still make 3 games out of the original game with the padding that they're doing here. Anyways, so let me tell you how I feel about the ending. So I mentioned early on that the way that I usually play an open world game is I'll do basically everything until I feel like I'm about the halfway point, and then I'll just stop and kind of beeline towards the ending, and then after I finish the game, I will go back and complete the open world part. Well, I finished this game. I had no emotional reaction to it whatsoever, and then I turned it off. And I haven't played it since, and that was 3 months ago. The ending of this game completely removed my desire to continue to play this game. So I don't have a problem with the boss rush. I have a problem with the boss rush is bookended by confusion. It's what the fuck is going on with Aerith before the boss fight? what the fuck is going on with Aerith after the boss fight? Like
Aerith in the boss fight?
yeah, Aerith in the boss. It's Schrodinger's Aerith. Is she dead? Is she not dead? Is she both? Is she neither? I don't know. Like going into this, like I was thinking, I talked about the characterizations. Like the characters are phenomenal in this game, and I've seen people online say that oh, they just killed her again. Like no one would care because they've done it before, and I vehemently disagree. Like they knocked it out of the fucking park, making these characters amazing and lovable, and you want the best for them. If they had actually killed Aerith at the end, and not fucked it up the way they did, it would have been fucking devastating again.
You could have done it, and you could have done the ending of this game, given us the death of Aerith, and had it resonate emotionally. The way that they did it, it doesn't have time to be emotional.
Yeah, I agree. I disagree with the people that say like killing her, like just killing her would not have been like impactful because they did it 25 years ago. Fully disagree with that. So I would have been I love Aerith. I'd be fine with her living, but if they just wanted to just outright kill her again the way they did, I'd have been fine with it. Like it would have been a tragedy. I also would have been fine if they had saved her. Like pay off the whole we're defying fate thing, which was the entire purpose of the end of Remake 1. Like we have killed the literal god of destiny. Now we are free to do what we want, and so
now we will do the exact same thing.
Yeah, so now now that we've killed the god of fate, we're gonna follow fate about 95% of the time. So I would have been completely fine with her living. In fact, like I said, when I thought she lived, I was fucking hyped. Holy shit, they are actually doing it. They are actually going there. And I thought those were my only two options. If she dies, it's a tragedy. If she survives, it's triumphant. And I thought those were my only two choices here. And what I got was she is alive, and then she's dead. And then she's talking to Cloud, and then she's dead. And then she's dead, and then she's alive in a boss fight. And then she's dead again, and then she's alive, or she's there again at the end talking to Cloud. And I have no fucking clue what is going on. So none of this resonated with me. Like, again, whatever emotion they wanted me to have here, unless it was confusion, they didn't get it. Like it was confusion and apathy. I finished this game and I just and I turned it off and I never touched it again. And that was 3 months ago. So I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened with Aerith. So I watched the ending again just before we started recording, and I picked up a few things that I didn't get the first time. So I still don't know, like, when Cloud actually...
How does she die? There's no answer to that currently.
Well, that's the thing. Like when Cloud saved her, did he imagine that? Or was that in a different timeline? Again, these are questions that I should not have to fucking ask, because this story did not need goddamn time travel and multiverses. So there's
imagining that's an all right. Yeah. So I kind of understand, like, some of the stuff is like, okay, you're going to save this for the third game, but I was leery with Final Fantasy Remake. I now do not trust them. I was worried, like we said it when we were talking about Remake. Like, oh, I'm worried that they're going to pull some Kingdom Hearts shit. They pulled the Kingdom Hearts shit. I now do not trust them to follow up on this shit
I
properly.
fully agree. But anyway, so like the first scene where Aerith is saved, air quotes, like, is that did Cloud create another timeline where Aerith is now alive? Or did he imagine that? And like at first I was thinking new timeline, but watching the ending again, there are several moments where Cloud is holding Aerith's dead body, and Cloud is just like, Aerith, talk to me, and Aerith's body springs to life and talks to him. And the first time that happens is right after the stabbing. And Cloud is holding Aerith's body, and she opens her eyes, and it's like, "Oh, don't worry, Cloud, it'll be okay." And you know,
Yeah, yeah, I forgot all about
she's
that
got
shit.
her she's touching Cloud's face, and then it cuts over to Tifa's perspective, and you know,
She's just
clearly,
gone. Yeah.
yeah, Cloud is holding Aerith's dead body. So clearly, in that moment, Cloud is like imagining that Aerith is alive, and then at the end, after the 17-hour boss gauntlet, once again, like Tifa is like kneeled over Aerith's body crying, and Cloud just walks up to her, like walks up to Aerith, and you know, puts, you know, kind of picks up her body. He's like, "Wake up!" And Aerith just wakes up and smiles. Everyone else is still crying, so obviously in that moment, Cloud imagined all that. So Cloud is at least partially imagining that Aerith is alive. So did he imagine saving her? Did he imagine her showing up in the boss battle? Or were those things actually things that happen? And I don't know. At the end of the game, when because they skip her funeral scene, I assume that they're going to revisit that in part 3. I assume
I
that
would hope so.
yeah, they had. I assumed that because I think in part 3, since you know the cat is out of the bag in regards to Zack, I think Cloud, like the mental trauma that Cloud might have to overcome, is less about the fact that he basically is impersonating Zack, and perhaps more that
Well,
he
I
thinks. Sorry, go ahead.
but well because he remembers Zack as a thing, but he doesn't. But he still he like I think his like his recovered memories that stuff like his that stuff can still happen because just because he remembers who Zack is, the game has kind of still going out of its way to say he okay, I remember a guy named Zack. I remember he was a friend of mine, but I don't remember anything else about him, and that's really weird. So they did establish that like okay, like he remembers that Zack is a thing, but he doesn't. He's not clued into the fact that like he's been impersonating Zack
Yeah,
more or less.
I feel like just the fact that he not only remembers Zack this early, but had a goddamn buddy cop team up with him is like lessens that to an extent. So I think that in part 3, like it's probably going to be revealed that Cloud thinks that he saved Aerith and is just blocking out the fact that he didn't. And when everyone else is crying and talking about Aerith being gone, you know, that he's just tuning that out because there's parts
He's just gonna keep going. No, come on, guys. Eris is still with us. And
yeah,
they're gonna think he's being optimistic. Like, yeah, Eris is with us in spirit, of course.
yeah,
But
and that's
you
it.
know, her physical presence is gone. Yeah.
At the end of the game, he has a whole conversation with Aerith while people are crying. Uh, and apparently they have some sort of secret plan to beat Sephiroth now. Is he imagining her? Is that Aerith from another universe that he created when he saved her, air quotes? Or is this just Aerith's ghost from the live stream? I have no idea. But that confusion destroyed this ending for me. Like I hated what they did to like this moment, and I see so many people, like there are people that love this, and like to borrow a Jim Cornette quote, if you tell me you like the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I look at you like you have turds hanging out of your mouth. Like I do not get this. I lack the ability to understand you if you looked at that and was like, yeah, that was awesome. That's what the Final Fantasy VII story needed. So
No.
I don't get the people that like this, and there are a lot of people that are willing to defend it because part 3 is going to come out, and they're going to answer all these questions, and I don't care. Like you said, that 3 could be amazing, and it doesn't change the fact that the ending of this game sucked. Like I paid $70 for this game. It needs to stand on its own. It needs to have a satisfying beginning, a satisfying middle, a satisfying end, and also set up part 3. Those things are not mutually exclusive. It could do all of them. And it sure as shit set things up for part three, and it had a
Yeah.
great beginning and a great middle. And when they got to the end, they completely fucked it. Like, I
Yeah.
understand leaving some plot threads. There's going to be a part three. Like, they can't answer all the questions now, but they presented way too many fucking questions at the end of this game, and it ruined it for me. Like, I have no
Yeah.
desire to play this game anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, bizarrely enough, it's like as much because I enjoyed remake too, and I only ever went back and replayed remake specifically when it was like, okay, well, let's do, like to prep for this, to prep for this game. That's the only reason I went back and replayed remake, not because I thought it was bad. It's just there was like some games I'm kind of one and done with. That felt that way with remake. This game, yeah, it's probably going to be a one and done because there's just not much replay ability to it unless you want to go through the game on a harder difficulty. That's the problem when you cut a single story into like three parts. It's like, okay, well, where's my replayability? I'm not replaying a single game. Like it's so like it's yeah, like I probably won't touch it again either. I can get the story beats that I want out of it in a YouTube video. Like I so like I also do not like the ending of this game. I've softened on it since I played it because now I like when I first went through it, I didn't understand the multiverse shit. Now I understand. It's like, okay, well the game was telling me this stuff. It just did it very very badly. But yeah, I'll give some props because an attempt was made, a shitty attempt, but an attempt was made. So. Uh, it's like some of these questions, yeah, I am willing to go to the well being there is going to be a part three, but that doesn't change the fact that you know. So I guess here's a question: had this game ended just before, like the death of Aerith, and left us on a cliffhanger, and then the next game opens up with the death of Aerith, and like then they like, do you think that might have softened it a little bit, even if they had kept doing this kind of shit?
I don't know that I would love it, but it would be better than them asking this many questions before a 3 to 4 year break before we get any answers. Like, I think,
There's
think
just
that,
too many questions.
I think that it was just a shit idea to end on Aerith's death. I think they should have ended with Cloud falling into the live stream, but they didn't ask my opinion.
They could, and they could have done it. You could have shortened down some of the rest of the bullshit in this game, and you could have done it. Because like you said before, there's a fuck ton of padding in this game. They could have cut some of this optional bullshit that doesn't amount to anything. Like, you could have cut out like the Zack stuff, and that would have given you an extra 30-ish, 40, maybe an extra hour and a half ish or so to have like gotten us to the point where Cloud gives the black materia. If however they want to do that now. Because who knows if they're going to do it the same way. They could have it could have worked, and then we could have started the next game up with Sid as the party leader or something like that. I think that would have actually worked a little better if it would have been if they had actually not ended on the death of Aerith. Although, like when we were talking about this in our last video, both of us were like, they're going to end it on the death of Aerith. Like it's going to end at that spot.
Yeah, it was not a secret that the game was going to end there. So but it's just knowing that how they ended it there, like, man, just give me a little bit more to explain. Like, you presented me with 37 different mysteries at the end of this game. Like,
that's too much.
Give me another hour where you answer a couple of them. And
satisfying.
And if there's going to be a multiverse, please put me in the one where you didn't fuck up.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it like this, give me at least a little bit more time for the emotional resonance of Aerith's death to ring home, and give me time to be sad because even though like when I played the original game for the first time years ago, like I knew she died, so I did intentionally not really put that much effort into leveling her character up and using her for a bunch of stuff because fuck it, I know she's gonna die, fuck it. Uh, this like in this particular series because like we keep hammering on this like because the characters are done so fucking well and because the game is actually structured in such a way where you have to use everybody at least a little bit. you know, uh, like you're not gonna just be like yeah I'm gonna use Cloud, Sid, and Vincent. That's my team, bro. Like no you're gonna have to use Red. You're gonna have to use Kate. Yeah, so like that's if they had structured it in such a way to have allowed the death of Air to resonate a little more. Give me time to give me time to let that sink in and feel, really let the sadness sink in. That would have helped because again, like the pacing, they fucked up the pacing on it so fucking bad.
I think it's just if they had cut out the fake out where Cloud stopped Sephiroth at the beginning, I think I could roll with it. I still wouldn't love that we didn't have a chance to be sad. But God, at least I would fucking know it. Yes, Aerith is dead. Like there's no question. She's dead. She's fucking gone. And then it would be surprising at the end when Cloud is sitting there talking to her. Like that would be a mindfuck. Like oh, like what the fuck? Like she was dead. Like I could roll with that as a cliffhanger. But it's just the sheer amount of fuckery and is she dead? Is she not dead that they did?
Yeah, and also
God.
it had not occurred to me until you mentioned it now. But yeah, like the game does also very clearly set up the fact that okay, whenever you defy destiny, you set up another reality. So Cloud defied destiny by saving Aerith, or unless they're gonna say
Unless
like
he
he
imagined it.
hallucinated. Yeah, but that would that's a mystery question that I would be okay with going into the next game with but not like but you can't pile everything else on and then also add into the fact that yes now Zack has a motivation to try and undo the multiverse shit. Zack's goal is to unfuck it is to unfuck the multiverse.
There are charts. I've seen charts of. I posted one in our Discord. Maybe I'll link it in the whatever the YouTube video for this. But people are posting charts trying to figure this out, and it's shit like the white materia has been like filled and emptied 4 times, and there's ultimate Aerith and Lifestream Aerith and this third Aerith over here and Cloud. We start out in Universe A where Cloud saves Aerith, but then we go back to Universe B where she dies, and then Zack is off in Universes X, Y, and Z, and then Sephiroth attacks in Universe P, and then this boss fight happens in Universe Q, which we know is a new timeline because there's fucking rainbows. That should not be required to figure out this game.
None of that is okay. I just want to state for the record that even though I've said like okay well I understand now that with the dog that like the dogs are the indicator of whatever timeline you're in. It's a shitty explanation, but okay I get it. That's the explanation I've got. I can pay attention to that for now. But let's suppose this flowchart is correct. Does that make it better? No, you made it worse. You actively made it worse.
You should not need a visual aid to follow a story. You should not have to look up outside resources to understand this story. Like this is like my problem. This is my problem with this game. Like the first Final Fantasy VII, it's got a lot of shit there. Like I said, there's aliens and ghosts. The planet's alive. There's a fucking river of goddamn souls under the planet. There's a lot there, and it is pretty straightforward. Sephiroth's descended from Genova. You know what his plan is. You know why Cloud is mind fucked. Go get the bad guy. Do some side quests along the way. Fix Cloud's mind along the way, and that's it. You got the game. You didn't need this. Why was this added? This adds nothing of value to this story. This is just fucking, hey, I like Kingdom Hearts. What if we did that but Final Fantasy?
Yeah, yeah. Did you guys like Cloud and Kingdom Hearts? Well, let's do Kingdom Hearts in our Cloud. No, 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 no. Let's not do that. Like, if you're going to expand on the story of Final Fantasy VII, like we said already, adding in the Wu-Tai stuff, like that's a good route to take, because that was shit that was background noise in the original game. It was super passe that that Shinra and Wu-Tai had bad blood. That's a fine route to take. Let's expand on that. Like if you want to give an origin to the black materia with the gi, okay, let's do that. Like, that's fine. Let's do it. Let's fucking go. We didn't need all the rest of this bullshit. Like there was no need for it. Exactly as we've repeated over and over.
And yet they did it anyway. And at the end of Remake, I was cautiously optimistic. At the end of Rebirth, I have lost all faith in these storytellers. Like, they have destroyed my interest in Final Fantasy VII. I was playing through the original Final Fantasy VII before Rebirth came out. I got up to the point where you finish up your first trip in Gold Saucer, and now you've got the buggy to go around the desert, and that's where I stopped because Rebirth came out. And that was 3 months ago, and I haven't even, I lost all desire to go back to the original game because of how disappointed I am with the end of Rebirth and how they butchered this story. And God, I hate how much I loved this game up until the end, and now I don't know what I feel like. My interest in seeing how the story turns out is not genuine interest. It's morbid curiosity. Like, do I even want to play Remake 3, or do I just want to watch the YouTube playthrough?
See how badly they fucked it up.
Because I don't trust them to get it right. I absolutely do not fucking trust them.
Yeah. No, I mean, we got to the same point, but we took different roads to get here. Because I too do not trust them. I have a little bit more leeway for some. Like, there are some mystery of the mystery questions. Like, yeah, okay, these are things that you set up that you set up at the end of this game for our third game. Like, how did Cloud get the black materia back? Okay, he still has it. That's okay. That's a good thing to know to set up the next game, because we know how the black materia has affected him in this game. That's a fine little tag in to add into it. Okay, the fact that now there's a rift in the sky of our Prime universe, but only Cloud can see it. Okay, that is an interesting tag in that you can put to further explain in the next game. Why do we have gray plot ghost and black plot ghost? I would rather we have none, but we can get into that in the third game. Is Aerith alive or dead is not really a good one that you should lead into the third game with.
Yeah, 100%.
Why is Cloud the only one who
is
knows
the failure here?
Yeah, I was like, this just they paced it all. Like, the ending of this game has got paced so fucking stupid, and because like I said, Aerith dying is a sad moment, and then they follow it up with this high end action sequence. And while the original game does it better by you have to fight this Genova monster, but you get the sad death of Aerith music playing in the background, so the emotion stays with you. They didn't do that in this game, but they went with the more high octane. We're so flaming mad at what you've done. We're so fucking mad that we're gonna kick into this with super rock music and choreographed action, and then we're gonna come back down to earth and be sad. No, they don't even give you that. Like you mentioned, Aerith's burial gone. That's an emotional impact of Cloud, letting her body into the water, gone. They show characters crying, but like we're too busy being confused. Like that's you fucked up my emotional. Like you can't take me on an emotional whiplash like that. I need a tonal consistency.
Yep. The ending is bookended by confusion. So
Yep.
yeah,
The ending sucks. Like long and short of it, it's not good. It like my burning rage for it, like again, like since I understand the multiverse stuff now, like okay, that part doesn't bother me as much, but it still sucks. And it's gonna the third game could be an absolute banger. It can knock it out of the park, but this is not a perfect trilogy. I didn't think it was gonna be one, I guess, but you totally ruined that with the fuckery of the ending of this game. You fucked it. And like it has, we've also bookended and said, I don't trust them to not do that again.
and on that note, I think we're done here. Thank you everyone for joining us for probably like the final episode for another 3 or 4 years of
Yeah,
Ronin
we'll
and
see you
Steve
in
talk nerd
16
shit.
years.
Ah, God, fuck you, Square Enix.